Hello everybody. This practice is a rainy day boost, focusing on some deeper back bends, side plank variations, and padmasana or half lotus variations in the mix. Suggested props would be 2 blocks as well as your mat, and maybe a blanket for warmth in shavasana if it's a chilly day. I'm placing my 2 blocks on different levels. For a deeper back bend, you'll take the higher level as I have here, just beneath your shoulder blade, so in the lower part of your rib cage, and the second block on the high or medium level behind your head. Notice that my shoulder blades are not landing on either of these blocks, but between them, so that the block on the higher level, or it can go on the medium level for a kind of intro into the shape, is allowing the thoracic spine or my middle back to lift. As the back rises, I'm actively sinking the front body down so that the front and back body move towards the central channel. Taking a few deep breaths, allowing the back body to relax, the contact point of the blocks to settle. Applying just a little bit of pressure through the 3 corners of each foot, grounding through the center of the heel, the knuckle of the big toe, and the base of the pinky toe, so that the body slides back just slightly. It's very grounding. You'll notice that throughout these shapes, while they are energizing, they are also very grounding. We will be moving slowly, with a deep awareness of the breath. You can stay here or lower the block behind your head 1 level. Arms can remain out to the sides, feeling the shoulder blades move into the back, not necessarily towards each other, but just again up into the back body. Make sure that there is no strain in the neck as you do this. Now, if you're feeling pretty good, extend each leg, internally rotating the hips slightly, and ground the back of the thigh bones towards the floor. This may increase the depth of the back bend, so just be mindful that this isn't moving towards your low back. Continuing to move the upper body, or the front of the body, in and down, the back of the body up. Now, if you'd like to work with a little bit of shoulder mobility, bring the hands together overhead, interlace the last 3 fingers, reach up through the index and the thumbs, moving the forearms and elbows towards each other. Start to reach the arms up and overhead, maintaining a distance between your ears and the top ridge of your shoulders. As you do this, ground the thigh bones a little bit more and drop the lower ribs down into the body. Keep reaching through the index finger and pressing the pinky finger sides of the hands together. This will rotate the forearms towards each other. Moving the breath from the back of the spine to the front of the heart, filling out the side lobes of the lungs. Stay here or reach the arms back up, and then taking Garudasana arms, cross the left arm over the right, wind the forearms and palms together, spread the fingers wide, and then press the hands into each other so that the thumbs align with the brow. Keeping that distance between the ears and the tops of the shoulders, you may choose to bring the arms a little bit further overhead, sliding the thumb along the center of the top of the skull towards the crown. Keep pressing the elbows into each other, the forearms into each other, and widening the palms with the spreading of the fingers. Notice if there's any tension in your belly, try to soften it. Notice any tension in the tongue and let the tongue widen and relax. Switching sides, inhale, the arms unwind and reach up, and then cross the right arm over the left, Bind the forearms, press the hands together, and center the thumbs with the brow. Let the inhale facilitate a reach of the arms or the hands over the crown of the head. The shape alone, even with the block under your back at a lower level, is very energizing and opening. It could be done on a more modified, a more middle of the road level here, any point in the day, just to give yourself a little boost. And inhale, unwind the arms, press the palms together. Try to get the elbows to touch as you reach the hands back, letting the forearms graze the crown of the head, and then reach for that block that's underneath your head. You can stay here just squeezing the elbows towards each other, pressing the palms into the sides of the block. This is a very similar action to one of the poses we will be moving towards, Ekapada rajakapotasana, in the shoulder girdle. Or squeezing the block, lift your head slightly and slide that block out from underneath the head. If the head easily comes to the floor, this is the deepest thoracic back bend you can get in this shape. With the blocks as they are, you may choose to take Kali Mudra overhead as you did in that first variation and allow the back of the neck to relax, to drape down out of the center of the shoulders. Notice your breathing, making sure that it is not being inhibited in this shape. Back bends often can create a little bit of uncertainty or fear if that's not your natural way. So pressing the thighs down, keep the head trailing as you rise up. And then as the spine is vertical, lift the back of the head. Lie all the way back, removing the blocks from underneath you in Shavasana for a moment, just to feel the pulsing of your heartbeat and the simple change that this pose alone has created in opening your body, in creating a spaciousness in the heart. Reach the arms overhead, rise up to sit. And take any movements that you may need, a little cat-cow to the spine. Eventually, walking hands forward and the feet back into Ardha Mukha Svanasana or downward facing dog. Take your time, maintaining the natural curvature of your spine as you take the feet back. Feet are inner hips distance apart, bend the knees, allow the tail to wag a little bit side to side. And then keeping the head of the arm bones lifted, begin to pulsate your chest towards your upper thighs. Let the brow drop towards the floor. Make sure that this action is coming from the space that you just opened, the middle back, not your shoulders, not your shoulder blades winging out. Keep the head of the arm bones lifted and the shoulder blades drawn into the sides of the body. Notice the pressure in your hands, grounding through the thumb knuckle and the index knuckle a little bit firmly to keep that hollow action in each palm. Now press the inner heels back. Come forward into a half plank here so the seat is lifted. Hollow out the belly. And then again, start to wag the tail a little side to side. Let it drop a little bit towards the right. Curvature through the low back. Bring the left hand to the base of the skull and use the hand to draw the head out of the neck. Moving the left side ribs back and up. Moving into a side plank variation here. Same pressure applies to the right hand. Then bend your knees, reach your left arm forward and bring the hand back down. Wag the seat up through center, curvature through the low back, lift through the head of the arm bones, hollow action through the armpits, and then wag the seat to the left. Let the right hand float off the floor and to the back of the skull. Draw the base of the skull out of the shoulders and lift the right side of the ribs and waist to find that opening in vasistasana variation. Slight back bend in the upper chest. Let them bend the knees again. Reach the right arm forward. Come back around into Ardha Mukha Svanasana and take a moment's pause here just to feel the breath in the sides of the body that you've begun to open through that last variation. As you are ready, inhale, come forward, lower the knees into a tabletop, and exhale, round the back, cat spine. Inhale again, open the chest into a cow spine, grounding through the thumbs and inner knees. And exhale, round the back, press the knees and hands towards each other. A few more rounds here. Moving with the breath. And then lowering the forearms so that they are parallel to each other, elbows in line with each shoulder. Lift the hips, the seat, straighten the legs into dolphin pose. Lift the hips and then press the heels back. Just a few times, just rocking along the ball mound of each foot. And then lowering the knees back down. Lift up, thighs together, reach the hands back to hold the ankle tendons, and stay there opening the chest, or press the hands down into the feet to lift the hips and open the heart into uttanasana or camel pose. Thighs together here in this variation, or you can choose to come back down, widen your knees, support your low back with your hands, and lift up that way. Now moving into Shirshasana, headstand. Interlace the fingers, create an equilateral triangle with your forearms. Place the back of the head just in front of the hands without letting the elbows or the wrist wing out, and then piking from the hip crease, float the legs up. As this is an advanced practice, there will be minimum instruction on this pose. What we are seeking here is utilizing leg variations. Ekapada Shirshasana, bringing the right leg down, keeping the left leg up to begin. Hips lift, hip creases lift. To find some mobility in the hip creases for the later part of this practice. If you do not have a Shirshasana practice, then I might recommend that you go to another of my videos that works with hip mobility. I'll leave a link in the bio. Okay. Left leg down, right leg up. Ekapada Shirshasana, keeping those outer hips rising. Spreading the ball mounds of the feet wide as the legs rise up, externally rotating the hips, and then take the right leg out to the right side, keeping the lift and reach through the left leg. Make sure to keep those armpits hollow, inner forearms pressing down. Then lift that right leg up, keeping the legs externally rotated. Take the left leg out to the left side. Spread through the toes, energy through the back of the legs. Inhale, we'll bring the leg back up slowly, sealing the thighs together for a moment. And then both legs out into a straddle position. Letting gravity draw the legs down as you use the lift of your hip crease to counter that. Armpits are drawing towards each other. The weight is in the forearms, wrists, and slightly in the top of the head. Inhale, lift the legs back up, seal the fronts of the thighs towards each other. Hips back, sacrum back as you pike the legs down. Keep moving the sacrum back, 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 back. Hover the legs, maybe the toes lightly touch. And then inhale, lift the legs back up. Vertical line. Bend the knees. Move the weight of your head from the top of your head more towards your forehead. As you take the legs back, back, back. Move the navel forward in the opposite direction. And then piking from the hip crease, straighten the legs and bring the legs all the way down. Lower the knees to the floor. Sit upright for a moment, or again, hold the ankle tendon with the hands. Lift the hips and heart into Uttanasana, camel pose. Few breaths. Lowering the front ribs, lifting the back of the rib cage up. Hands to the heart. Step the right foot forward into a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Ground the left shin and point through the inner line of the left foot. Now ground the right heel and pull it back towards your right sitting bone, allowing the right hamstrings to move naturally towards the right calf. Keep that left outer hip wrapping forward, so the hips are square to the front of your mat. Palms press into each other in Anjali Mudra, allowing for a little pulsation in the hips, just to let gravity draw you down without losing the alignment of the pelvis. You can stretch the arms out to the side, broadening across the clavicular area. Then bring the hands back together, shift the hips back, and draw that right shin back underneath you again. So sitting in Vajrasana, seat to heels, thighs together, and then taking the other side, stepping the left foot forward. Try not to use your hands. Keep them at the heart. Pressing the right shin down and forward. Left heel and big toe knuckle down and back. So the hips rotate internally. Front body draws down and in. Back body lifts up and wide. Collarbones are the part of the front body that we're trying to widen. Everything else is absorbed in towards the central channel. Hands to the heart or out wide, your choice. Focusing on the flow of Ujjayi pranayama, a steady, even wave of breath. Hands together, hips back. Absorb the left shin back. And then come back into downward facing dog. Little bend into the knees, pulsation through the heart, and then come forward into a plank with bent knees, keeping the curvature through the low back, hips to the right, hand or left hand to the back of the head, and then lifting the left side ribs again into another side plank. This time, we're going to work through some oblique action here. So stretch the left arm up as you inhale and exhale, reach under the right side of the body. Inhale, reach the left arm up. Exhale, draw the navel back as you reach under your right armpit. Feel the rotation through your abdominal organs. One more. Inhale, reach the left arm up. Exhale, curl in from the deep belly muscles as you reach under. And then turning back to the toes, left hand down, Ardha Mukha Svanasana, with almost like a serpentine-like spine. Just letting it move with the breath, settling into that. And take the hips to the left, low back curves, bend the knees, right hand to the back of the head. Stacking the feet again, left shoulder over the heel of the left hand, reach the right arm up. Exhale, empty the breath as you reach under. Inhale, reach up and broaden the heart. Exhale, squeeze the abdominal organs as you reach under. One more, inhale, reach up, stretch through the fingertips, breathe through them, and then exhale, reach under. Start to turn back to the toes as you come into downward facing dog. Toes arrive as both hands arrive. Inhale, come forward, open the chest and cow spine, knees down. And then exhale, sit back onto the heels with the toe tucked. Hold the ankle tendons, press down, lift the hips, open the heart, Ustrasana. Lifting the heart towards the chin. And then hands to the heart. Step the right foot forward into your lunge once more. Interlace the last three fingers overhead, Kali Mudra. And then shimmy the shoulders a little right to left, right to left. Feel your upper rib cage rock right to left as you reach back. Remember that as we reach back, we first reach up. So up, 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 and then back. So the whole body continues to rise. There's an elevation of energy even as you move into the back bend. So it's not a collapsing, it's a rising. Back shin, front heel move towards each other. Inhale, rise up. Release the fingertips down. Now tuck the back toes, lift the hips and turn all 10 toes to the right. Letting the outer left leg hover above the mat. Neck stays long out of the shoulder, so there's firm pressure through the left thumb and index, hollowness to that hand. And then roll back around, position the feet for Virabhadrasana 1. Back heel spins down. Inhale, the arms rise up, spread through the palms and the fingertips. Wide enough stance so that the hips can move towards square. No torque in the back knee. So the knee, back knee, and front hip and back hip are rotating towards the same direction. Inhale, lean back a little. Exhale, hands to the mat. Spin off the heel of the back foot, bow over the front leg. And then exhale, step the right foot back into down dog. Bend the knees. Shift the hips to the right. Left hand to the back of the neck. Coming back into side plank. This time, hover your left foot and let it drape behind the body, creating a little semicircle with your toes. Spin that right heel in towards your seat a little bit, deepening into a back bend. You can stay here, pointing your left elbow towards the front of your mat so the tricep hugs the face. Or you can reach that left hand for the front of your left shin or ankle. Pull against the shin as the shin presses into the hand to lift your belly up. Now lift that left knee, hug it towards the left side ribs as you roll back around into down dog. Fluid, slow, serpentine movement. Inhale, lower the knees, open the chest. And then exhale, sit back onto tucked toes. Hold the ankle tendon. Inhale, Ustrasana, hips down or up. And exhale, you'll sit back onto the heels. Breathe in, bring the hands to the heart, lift the hips. And exhale, step the left foot forward into a lunge. Interlace the last 3 fingers, Kali Mudra. As the hips move forward and together, shimmy the shoulders back. Reach up before taking the spine back in space. Seek to create a continuous back bend that you can experience from that right shin bone all the way to the reach of your index finger. The heart rises towards the chin to create that first aspect of Jalandhar Bandha. Then exhale, bring the hands down. Tuck the right toes under. Lift the hips and turn all 10 toes to the left. Drop the hips down. Let that right leg hover. Prevent the right ankle from collapsing. And keep the neck long out of the shoulders. Draw the seat slightly under. And then roll around, setting up for Virabhadrasana 1. Roughly a 30-degree angle in the back foot. Reach up, rotate the right toes, knee, and hip forward towards the front corner, right corner of your mat. Breathe joy up through your heart. Let it reach through your fingertips. And the breath like beams of sunshine radiating out and back in. And exhale, hands come down. Square the hips, bow over the front leg, and step into downward facing dog. Bending the knees. Shift the hips to the left. And then reach the right arm behind the neck. Now hover the right foot. Trace a little semicircle on the floor behind you with your big toe, and then press the toe down to lift the hips up. As you reach that right arm back or elbow back, try to hug the tricep towards the face. Stay there or reach the right hand for the right shin and resist those 2 points. So pull against the shin as the shin presses into the hand. Keep pressure through the left thumb. And then draw the right knee towards the right side belly as you roll back around. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. Option to stay here as your inversion. To take another round of Shirshasana. or to lower the forearms down and begin to play with Pincha Mayurasana. Stack the hips first over the shoulders, shoulders over the elbows. Lift one leg, reach up through it. And then as if it is that leg that is pulling you up, rather than the bottom leg kicking you up, rise up. You can play with Hanuman variations in your legs or just keep them together. Eventually bring the knees together, bend them, press the big toe knuckles together, and then stay here or take a little leap of faith. Switch your gaze and let your feet gently fall back behind you. Now you're in a back bend. You can stay there with the forearms down or place the hands firmly into the mat, rising into Urdhva Dhanurasana. Letting the toes stretch away from the heels of the hands. Rock a little forward and back and then press down through the heels, rise to stand. You can pause the video here to play around with that one more time, to play with your inversion or downward facing dog. Otherwise, just bring the hands to the heart. Notice your breathing. Standing in Uttanasana. It's the first time you've been standing on 2 feet at the front of the mat, so just take that in. Now, moving into Ardha Padmasana variation, step firmly into your left foot. Bring the outer edge of your right foot to the front of your left hip. So this is a traditional vrikshasana. You can also bring the sole of that right foot into the left inner thigh. Now bring the right hand behind the back, let it slide along the waistband. You can even give it some help with your left hand and then hold the right toes. Draw the front of the body back. Stay there or crawl the right hand up between the shoulder blades. Reach the left arm up and around for Gomukhasana or cow-faced arms. Press the spine into the forearms. Move the shoulder blades into the back. Lift the skin on the front of your right armpit up and over your shoulder. And then begin to bow, pressing the outer edge of that right foot into the left hip, reaching through the crown of the head, maybe your left elbow as you bow, drawing in the navel slightly with each exhale. Hands come down, keeping the foot in the hip crease or sliding it down just behind the left knee on the quadriceps. Now, if your knees aren't particularly healthy, I would pause the video here and just play around with that one more time. If they're healthy, bring your right kneecap to the floor, lower your hands, and then step your left foot slightly forward of your right knee. Turn the toes out, bind the right arm underneath the left for Garudasana arms. We've done this in a reclining position already. And then reach up through the crown of the head. Place the palms down. Keep that half lotus in your right side, and then bring the left leg into Virasana or half Virasana. Moving into Bharavajrasana, you can bring your left palm to hold your right kneecap or tuck under it, and then slide the right hand behind the low back, reaching around for the right toes. Take your gaze up and over your left shoulder and look intently beyond your left knee. That left sitting bone will rise off the floor slightly. Just focus on the breath in your abdominal organs. Focus on lifting and widening the collarbones. And then slowly releasing the upper body. Keep the legs, or the right leg, in Ardha Padmasana. Shimmy the left leg out to the side and in front of you. Next shape, Agni Stambhasana or fire log pose with the right shin on top. Flex the feet, ground the hips, deepen the hip creases. And as if you are casting your chest forward past, beyond your shins, begin to bow. Notice if the right hip wants to rise from the floor or shift forward, and you may use your right thumb in that hip crease to keep it drawn back. Find a subtle element of backbending as you fold. And let the breath bathe the back of the body. It isn't about how far down you go. It's about being aware of sensation in the hips and finding a place where, without inviting tension or strain, you can observe something just slightly different. And I rise up. Bring the right foot back into half lotus. And step the left foot back into a 2/3 downward facing dog. So not all the way back distance-wise, as you would in regular dog. Right foot is still in the hip crease. Swing the hips out to the left a little bit, bend the right knee, and let the left hand come to the base of the skull, creating length in the back of the neck. Now, you've been in this shape before. The only difference is that the right leg is now in half lotus. So you can always release that leg and stack the feet together. Now, if you have a little bit of room, swing that left hand behind the back of the body, trace the middle of the back, and then reach around for the right toes. Let the head move back, the gaze move back. And then as gracefully as you can, come back around through down dog into pigeon preparation, bringing the right shin forward so that the knee is slightly wide of the right hip and the shin is moving towards parallel with the front of the mat. Squeeze the thighs towards each other so there's a little lift. You can do this by tucking the back toes and pressing the mat back with them. Remember, we don't want to sink too much into flexibility, but maintain that we are working with mobility rather than overstretching of the joints. You'll see that I'd like to lift my hips up a little bit. What this does is it gives my spine a little bit more room to back bend without letting the hips go astray. Now, if you're working the bind, turn your left toes out to the side, reach your left hand around and hold on to the top of that left foot, and then draw the left elbow towards your left hip before spinning it up towards the ceiling. The right arm will rise up and reach back as well. Hollow the armpits, move the chin slightly forward, and bring the upper arms behind the head if possible. The elbows seek to touch each other. You may pause the video to play around with that a few more times, particularly if that is a new motion for you, a new action for you, and you'd like to study the movement. And then coming back down onto your knees as you're ready, just take a moment to pause, observe, release any judgments or expectations that you may have around your attaining these postures, whatever that means. The shapes are expressions. They are not the goal. Option to play again with Pincha Mayurasana, reaching the opposite leg up to lift. See this as the opportunity to play. You can work through Vrishikasana. And maybe again you tuck the chin and let the feet fall back into a Viparita Dandasana variation. If you'd like to walk your feet in a little bit, you may be surprised that your heels are right there. You've done a lot of thoracic spine opening. You may come down there or rise up through Urdhva Dhanurasana to stand. If you've been in a different inversion, just make your way to the front of the mat now. Crossing the right hand on top of the left hand, holding the center of your heart. Feel your heart beat. And taking Vrikshasana or tree pose on the other side, either bringing the inner edge of the left foot into the right hip crease, or the sole of the foot into the right thigh, or crossing the left ankle just above that right knee into a figure four. Your left hand can reach around behind the body to catch the right or the left toes. And then you have the option to stay there or to take Gomukhasana arms, guiding the left hand up the back towards the back of the heart, and then reaching the right arm up and around, letting the elbows move away from each other, front ribs draw in. Feel that this action in your hip is coming from your hip, that the strain is not in the left knee. And as you begin to bow, keep extension through your spine. Keep pressure of the foot and the standing leg. Slowly release the hands down, folding. And then staying there, or standing back up and playing again with the fold, or lower your left kneecap down to the floor. Bring your right heel slightly forward and in, turning the right toes out, and bring the left arm underneath the right in Garudasana arms. Don't force your spine up. If your left knee is telling you that you have reached your range of motion, you do not want to challenge it. Knees are not meant to rotate. And now moving towards Vasistasana, bring the right leg into virasana, or half hero, and keep the left in half padmasana, or half lotus. And the right hand tucks underneath the left knee or holds it, and the gaze lifts up and over your right shoulder. Make sure that the inner edge of that right foot is wrapping around your outer right hip, even though that hip wants to leave the floor. That's okay. And focus on the rhythm or pulsing in your belly as you breathe. The heart rises, uplifts itself. And center the upper body. Agni-stambhasana. Lean a little to the left to swing your right leg around, and then stack the left shin over the right shin. The feet and the knees stack respectively. I like to hook my left toes around my right knee a little bit, and then press the toes into the knee and the knee back into the toes to keep the hips locked. Then you can play with folding the way you did on the other side, or you might interlace your fingers behind you and reach in the opposite direction, so that as you fold, it's as if you have something resisting the fold behind you. It's just your own body. This will also encourage an opening in the chest, so there's still an element of back bending in the shape, because we still have a little bit more of that to do. Now, what you may notice in these hip asymmetrical poses is that one side is more available to fold than the other. And what I would recommend in your practice is the one that is less available. Don't force yourself to fold deeper. Just spend a little bit longer, or a longer amount of time, in a slightly less deep fold. So if you're spending 5 breaths on the easier or more available side, spend 7 to 10 on the less available side, but don't go so deep. Don't force. And now bringing the left foot back into half lotus as you rise. Step the right foot back into a 2/3 distance down dog, so it feels short. Lift the seat up, bend your right knee, and then wag the hips and the right heel to the right. Bringing the shoulders slightly forward. Keep the curvature through the spine. It's like natural curves. And then as your left ribs rise, the left hand floats behind the head. You can stay here or reach the left arm back, opening the collarbones, or slide it behind the back, reaching around for the left toes. If you don't catch the toes, don't worry about it. Just know that that is a direction, a directionality to guide your attention. And slowly roll back around. Bring the left shin into pigeon pose. Keep the right toes tucked under to press the right hip forward. And then lift the hips, even if it's only a millimeter or two off the floor, to feel the drawing towards each other of those thigh bones. This will create a more physical sensation of mula bandha. Now I like to bring that left heel, front heel, a little bit underneath my pubic bone to encourage my hips to rise and draw together before I move into Ekapada Rajakapotasana. Again, if you're taking the grip, then turn your right toes out to the right a little bit. Reach your left hand around to hold the top of that foot, and then draw the right elbow towards your right hip before spinning it up towards the ceiling. Chin down, chest up. Really the more important piece is chest up. And then move the forearms towards each other, elbows towards each other. Draw the toes and the head towards each other. Low ribs in, back body rises. And then slowly release the foot. Bring the hands down, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Stepping back. You can stay here working your inversion, because that's what down dog is. It's like a gentle inversion. Or if you'd like to play around with your handstands, I'm just going to do one today just for fun. Turning my world side upside down. Lift one leg, let it carry me up as I did in Pinchamayurasana, and then drop back over into Urdhva which I've been in several times already. Standing up or lowering down before coming to stand. You can pause the video and take one or two more rounds playing with whatever inversion is bringing you levity, joy. And then stand at the front of your mat. Right hand over the left at your heart. And bend the knees as you begin to fold forward, exhaling into uttanasana. Being very mindful that the spine is moved in the opposite direction for much of this practice. So you don't want to force the fold. Keep the knees bent. Lift the inner and outer ankles. You might even keep a little half lift in your spine. And as you are ready, after you feel that release between your shoulder blades, come to sit and lie all the way back, hugging the knees into the chest into Appanasana, wind relieving pose. A little rock side to side. And then with slightly externally rotated hips, turn the soles of the feet towards the ceiling, reach the hands for the outer blades of the feet in Happy Baby, Ananda Balasana. Let the sacrum drop a little towards the floor. It can feel nice to rock there. And when you're ready, extending your right leg, taking your left knee across the body to the right in your supine twist. To create a little more space in the low back, bring the left knee up a little bit towards your right shoulder. Keep attention through the extended leg. Start to relax all of the tissues around the spine. All of the organs just filling and releasing with fresh oxygen-rich blood, fresh breath or the movement of breath. And then as you're ready, switch sides. Slightly internally rotate the left leg as it extends. Bend the right knee and take it across to the left. Follow with your mind's eye the rotation of your spine like a spiral through the center of the body. Maybe your breath can follow that spiral up and down. Of course, this is a visualization. The breath is not just the air we're talking about, but the movement of energy or prana. If you need another round of supine twist, please take it. Otherwise, extend the legs, hips distance apart. Take the arms out at about a 45-degree angle, resting the back of the knuckles on the floor. Shavasana. Begin by simply relaxing. Whatever you identify as being just a little bit worked up, a little bit energized, just let it relax for now. Become heavier. And then as the physical body relaxes, draw your attention slowly towards the center of your chest. A glowing orb the size of your thumbprint at the very center of your chest. And let your attention draw towards this place as everything else continues to relax. Slowly allow your awareness to move from that light at the center of your chest out to your body, exploring subtle movements as the light arrives on your skin, and following those movements into larger movements, maybe rolling to your right side, taking a pause, and eventually coming to a comfortable seat. Bring your hands together in Anjali Mudra at your heart, turning as always to your intention. And the joy or the contentment you may feel as you bow, offer that to another. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.